Hey all, Scott here from Art of the Genre, and today we're going to be looking at the adventure for Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, U1, The Sinister Secret of Saltmarsh, and that is done by Don Turnbull. It was produced in 1981 for TSR UK, and it was their first module that they ever produced. It's in the series, the U series, and it has a fantastic cover by David DeLue. You got to check this one out. Absolutely love that cover. DeLue actually did the covers for all three of the U series adventures, and I think he really added something that we didn't see from a lot of the works that were coming out of TSR in Wisconsin at this particular time. So kudos to him. It's a great cover. I think it tells you a lot about what's going to happen in the adventure because he puts in a lantern and he puts in the house, which is the main part of the adventure as well. This is kind of an interesting one. It was requested that I do this one. I first played it in 1989 when I had just gone to college. I was actually, I was a freshman, and I thought, I'm going to stop playing D&D. I'm going to be a different person here at college. And the person next door to me in the dorm, like the fourth day I was there, said, "Hey, look, I'm going to run this adventure. Who wants to do it?" And of course I did it. And the next thing you know, I'm running my own adventures in college, and then I've never stopped since. So that lasted about a week that I wasn't gonna do D&D anymore. But anyway, so I got to run this, or I didn't run it, but I got to run through it. So that was my first experience with this one. It's a really neat adventure, but if you're looking at it as a DM, Turnbull is going to bury the lead on this one. You have to go all the way to the end, really, before he gives you the plot summary. So here's my suggestion. If you're running any of the U series, go to the end, find his plot summary, and then go back and read it, because it's going to help you out, because otherwise you're going to be kind of trying to figure out the mystery yourself when you really need to know it as a DM before you go in and start looking at it. He also uses a lot of stuff in it. Let me grab my notes here. He uses a lot of stuff in this adventure to, he starts out by telling you about TSR UK, which is kind of cool. Their Fiend Folio was the first thing they produced, and then this is their first adventure. So you kind of know what's going on in the UK in 81. That's kind of neat, but it takes up a lot of the page, the initial pages, or he's got an intro on it. And then he goes into a lot of talk about how to run D&D games, which I don't think you probably need at this particular point, so you can go through those. He goes through a little bit of plot summary, and then he tells you a lot of the stuff about setting up the town of Saltmarsh, which is where all three of the U series kind of take place. That's going to be the home base. He tells you to set up Saltmarsh. He's not going to give you any information on it in this adventure, which I really think you should, because it's not that big of an adventure when you really look at it. It's two basic parts. But anyway, you know from seeing my piece on B5 Whore on the Hill how I like to set up a community that's always two guilds. In this case, one of those guilds, I would put a Fisher's Guild, and the head of the Fisher Guild will also be the head of the town council, which is very, very important in all three of these adventures as well. So keep that in mind. One cleric or one temple will be in the city. And then a tavern and an inn. Both of those things are going to be important to you, especially in establishing the character's contact in the first part of this adventure with how they're going to get to the house of the alchemist that is the first part of the adventure. It's really fairly basic, except for the fact that Turnbull absolutely does not want this to turn into a murder hobo adventure. He really wants the characters to think, and he keeps reiterating that. Think, think, think. Don't give away secrets. Don't give away secrets. Whatever you do as the DM, don't give away secrets. They have to figure this stuff out. They have to figure this stuff out. They have to figure this stuff out. That's fine and dandy. But really, when you get into the meat of the adventure, there's not a lot going on here. The house itself, it's fake haunted. It was supposed to be haunted. It's not. There's smugglers in it that are actually smuggling stuff through the house, and they're just trying to keep people away by keeping up a facade that it is haunted. That is the first of the mysteries, really just figuring out that there's smugglers here. The next part of the mystery in that house is finding out that they're signaling a ship the sea ghost, which is out in the ocean and is smuggling goods in. One of the things that I looked at when I read it initially was, why are these things being smuggled? Because the plot, of course, was hidden from me until the end of the adventure. So I was looking at it. One of the things that you'll find in here are going to be cloth. I would say let's go with silk, and then they're going to be kegs of brandy. I would put those things in and say that this particular kingdom, which is actually, he gives you a location on World of Greyhawk. So if you're placing this in World of Greyhawk, it has the setting exactly in the location, down to the, the square that it's located. But I would say that there is some kind of strife between this kingdom, whoever runs this kingdom, and these series of towns here along the coast, and another kingdom that exports a good amount of silk and brandy, both commodities that are really something that people like within this community. Therefore, it gives you a reason to have these smugglers smuggling things other than the primary purpose of smuggling in this adventure, which is smuggling weapons to a lizard man tribe, which is in the marshes outside of Saltmarsh itself, which is the key to this adventure. And that gives you a little bit more onus. And one of the things that I looked at, because one of the people in the town council that kind of sends you on this mission will be a traitor to the cause, because they don't want you to find out about the smugglers. I'm not sure that that person would be looking to arm lizard men that could then attack Saltmarsh. So his really onus, or her really onus, would be to take the silks and the brandy, and not realizing that the smugglers have a side trade, which are the weapons as well. That kind of fills out that storyline. Through the house itself, there's really not a lot in it, except for this traitor within the town council is hastily sent out an assassin by the name of Ned, who is tied up within the house. Says he's a thief. He was, something got him from behind, and he wants to help the players. He's actually sent there to try to get the players to not find out about the smugglers. And when you get to the cellar, he'll actually attack you if he's not diverted you in some way since then, which he probably won't have. So he is a part of the storyline. There's a nice little picture of him by Jim Holloway. And there you have that one. And then you get to the cellar. The cellar only has one piece that I kind of liked. There is a dead fighting man on the floor of the cellar in plate +1. And he's got a sword, and he's just laying there dead. Been dead a while. And my thought process was, why is this guy here in the first place? I know he's a trap because his body is infested with rot grubs, which are nasty and I absolutely hate. But I love to use them against players, so they're a fun thing to use because somebody's going to want that +1 plate. And so it's really just kind of a trap, but you need to have this person established back when you're actually starting the adventure, probably in the inn when the town council or anybody is telling you about this house. They could say that a knight came through some time ago, and he was looking to investigate it, but they never heard from him again. That would explain this body here, so keep that in mind when you're setting the adventure up. Otherwise, from there, you get into a secret door, and then you can find the smugglers and get into it with the smugglers. The smugglers are set up in rooms, but likely they will know that the adventurers are there by that time, probably because of the rot grubs, for that matter, because you'll make noise in the cellar when you're trying to defeat the rot grubs, screaming as they go into your flesh, and therefore you will have alerted the smugglers. They can be prepared for you, so you're going to have a pretty good fight here at the end with the illusionist who's in charge of these smugglers and the rest of the smugglers there. And I believe there's some gnolls involved in it as well. So it'll be a pretty tough fight, especially for first level characters, because you have gotten almost no experience points to this point. That's one of the things that Don said in the module. He's really hoping that you go from first to second. I hate modules where you go from first to second or you barely make it, because you're investing a lot of time with your players and yourself. So one of the things that I would suggest when you're running this particular adventure is also down in the cellar, there's some skeletons that the smugglers have locked into a room, along with the alchemist who originally owned the house, his skeleton there. One of the things I would do there is maybe try to do a mini dungeon, just draw off a little bit of that, create a couple extra rooms, and have a kind of an undead adventure there where you can give a little bit more experience to the players. I think that's a great add. There's also a little cool little picture of the alchemist too. Check it out. Anyway, I think that is probably a key to upping the experience and maybe some treasure, giving some more magic items for the characters if you wanted them to make sure they made second or got a little bit toward third, which they might need for you too, personally, in my opinion. But I think Don did a good job with all three of these adventures. I think they're very well set up. The second part of this adventure, which I'm just going to get into here, instead of doing a part 2 of this, because I don't think it's necessary really for Saltmarsh, and that is the Sea Ghost. Once the characters have figured out that the smugglers are using the house and how they're using the house, that means going up and signaling from the upstairs with a lantern. And that looks like the ghost lights that the people are seeing, that there's something out in the water that they're signaling, which is the Sea Ghost. You go back to the town, you can report that. The town will then want you to take care of the Sea Ghost. Over the course of 2 weeks, they're going to send some people out to try to spy it when it comes to the shore. When they do, you go out and attack the Sea Ghost. Again, a very basic adventure. You're just going to row out there, have it out with the crew. There's also some lizard men on board. This should be your next key to the support of the lizard men tribes, that they're getting some of these arms that are being smuggled in, along with the silk and the brandy for the cities themselves or inside this kingdom. Again, there are two pivotal plot points here. 2 keys. One, find out about the smugglers and their signal to the ship. That's the first part. Somehow through the course of the various rooms and such, you need to make sure you deliver that information to the characters, or they need to discover that or put those pieces together. And the second one is, once you raid the ship and you find the lizardmen there, you need to make sure that they know that these lizardmen are agents of a larger tribe that is very close to Saltmarsh and was unknown to the town until this point, and they are getting weapons. This will lead you to U2, because the town is going to want you to therefore go in and investigate the lizardman, which is the onus of U2, the next adventure in the series. So those are really the important parts. The only other thing you're going to find in here is that there is a sea elf prisoner on board the Sea Ghost. His name is Oceanus. Please, for the love of God, change the name from Oceanus. I couldn't believe he was named that. He is supposed to be a character that can go with you, or an NPC, or somebody could play him and go through all 3 of these adventures with you. I don't think Oceanus is going to serve purposes there. So please change it, just for me, will you? Otherwise, that is really the basis of this. Once you capture the Sea Ghost, you bring it to shore and you get your rewards there. The town will be very happy with you. And probably the person who was the agent that had sent Ned will realize that he was in the wrong here. Not that he's going to come forward or anything, but he will stop trying to make any attempts to stop the characters once he realized that his actions could have threatened the town. So anyway, that's it. There's not a lot to this other than these 2 things. Not a lot within the adventure itself. Just, the maps are fairly basic on this one, and you're going to be able to get through it pretty easily. And again, what you're looking to is get to first or second, or get second level in here, and I would hope get somewhere close to third. Anyway, that is the Sinister Secret of Saltmarsh. You won, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I hope you play it, because this is a really good series. I'll get into the next ones, which will have more parts to it. But anyway, this first one really only needed 1 part, once you understand how the adventure works and what you have to make sure the characters understand. So thanks again for watching, and we hope to have more of these through the course of the week, and I hope you'll check those out as well. Thanks again for patronizing Art of the Genre, and please subscribe and hit notifications. That helps us a tremendous amount here on YouTube. So thanks again, and we'll see you soon.